H2O Talk.
Good day, viewers! Welcome to H2O Talk, a podcast where we dive into discussions on Sustainable Development Goal 6, clean water and sanitation. I am Elishano, your host for today's episode titled The Water Crisis. Today, I will be joined by Group 2 of 11 Miki to discuss about SDG 6 and its backgrounds and context. To start things off, let me give you a background on what SDG 6 is. SDG 6 is one of the 30 Sustainable Development Goals implemented by the United Nations to be achieved by the year 2030. It is a goal that aims to ensure the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. The question is, will we be able to achieve the goal's objective by the year 2030? Do we have what we call sustainable management and consumption of water today? Let us find out in this episode as we talk about the water crisis together with our researchers. Let us begin by discussing the water crisis in the local, Mindanao, Philippine, and global context by asking ourselves, what is SDG 6 for us? Let me begin the discussion. To give you all an idea, because we live in Davao City, I was not aware about the water conditions of the city, mainly because Davao is known to have one of the cleanest and drinkable tap water in the world, as stated by H20 2014 in one of her blogs. As I have gotten more educated about the said SDG, I recently discovered that today in 2014, clean water is no longer the case in some areas of the city, especially in rural places. Ms. Colleen, since you are in charge of researching the local issues about water sources, let me ask, what is SDG 6 for you? Do we come from the same background or do we have the same idea?
Elise, unlike you, I have been well educated about the clean water and sanitation issues of the city ever since I was in junior high school because this was our topic during our science investigatory project. Recently, if you go on social media, there are areas in Davao City that are going through low water pressure such as Bukidnon, Talomo, Ulas, Matina Aplaya, and more. What is ironic is that the area of Dumoy is affected even though they have the Dumoy water supply. As a person who lives in Dumoy, particularly in a subdivision, we struggle with poor water supply every day, especially early in the morning. So to me, SDG 6 is a very crucial topic as a first-hand witness of the issue.
Thank you, Ms. Colleen. I agree with this. In fact, yesterday you sent a video about the water pressure in your area. Let us show it on screen. In this video, Miss, we clearly see your attempts to get water running from the tap, but there is no drop at all. What makes the situation more critical is that this usually happens in the morning when families, children, and parents are getting ready for school by cooking, taking a shower, doing chores, and more. Now, this makes me wonder if similar situations are happening in some areas in Mindanao since it is already happening here in Davao City. Let us ask Ms. Zian Bengan, our researcher for water crisis in the Mindanao context.
Good day, everyone! To me, SDG 6 is more than just crucial but life-changing because humanity depends on water. Throughout the months that I've been researching about water conditions in Mindanao, I found that Mindanao relies mostly in groundwater supply. Thus, when there is a drought, it is difficult for cities and rural areas to gain a sustainable supply of water, given that the ground is drying out. In Davao City alone, DCWD has recorded groundwater usage of 347 million liters per day. Despite this usage, areas in Mindanao such as Zamboanga, BARMM, Sarangani, Bukidnon, Cagayan de Oro, Davao del Sur, etc. lack access to safe drinking groundwater. In these areas, people often hike for hours to dig wells in unsafe and unsanitized locations, posing significant health risks and potential for infections. In addition, farmers in Bukidnon and Sarangani are also losing their livelihoods as their families and crops heavily depend on the resources.
Thank you, Miss. Now, this situation is very alarming because Mindanao is actually surrounded by several bodies of water, Yet we are relying heavily on groundwater, which is already depleting. If the water crisis is this worse in Mindanao, then what more for the rest of the country? Let us ask Ms. Essie, our researcher for water crisis in the national context, about her knowledge and insights regarding the situation.
At least to me, SDG 6 is very difficult to achieve because the water crisis is a result of a disparity. The Philippines doesn't have that much access to the world's national share of groundwater, unlike India and the United States, and instead relies on its own. As a result, water supply in the Philippines is scarce, with groundwater accounting for 50% of potable water and 85% of piped water. This means that Filipinos alone are heavily reliant on the water source, which caused the supply to decrease significantly per year according to the British Geological Survey of 2024. This is related to how Filipinos use potable water for almost every task when other sources of water can be used instead. Not only does this cause a disparity, with only 67% of Filipino families having access to safe and sanitized water, but it also adds up to the health and sanitation issues nationally, according to SARAO 2023. In fact, most of the groundwater sources are contaminated, implying poor water management by the authorities, while groundwater levels continue to deplete, indicating excessive use of the resource nationally. Consequently, both the livelihood and the health of the country's citizens are affected. Farmers face challenges with groundwater shortages during El Nino periods, while sanitation issues put people at high risk of disease and infections.
Thank you for this, Ms. Essie. With these conditions ongoing, has there been any solution implemented here in the country?
At least there have been efforts such as additional water facilities, but this is only mostly evident in urban areas as opposed to rural areas. In rural areas, the water facilities and infrastructures are more outdated and some are no longer working.
Thank you so much, Ms. Essie. After hearing the local, Mindanao, and Philippine context of the situation, it is evident that the problem of depleting water sources is a prevalent issue not just locally, but nationally. However, to deepen our knowledge even more about the problem, it is only just that we listen to the global context of the issue. Ms. Essie, you are not only the group's researcher for the Philippine context, but also the global context. Can you share us your knowledge on this?
Yes, Elise. Globally, groundwater is a crucial resource as it is the primary source of sanitation, making hand washing, drinking, showering, and other essential tasks possible on a daily basis. However, an article by Omer in 2024 states that 703 million people still lack access to groundwater, which is 1 in every 10 people in the planet. As a result, 1,000 children under the age of 5 die every day due to poor sanitation and the lack of quality and safe drinking water. Despite the evident disparity in the water access, the use of groundwater rates has significantly increased worldwide by 4,600 cubic kilometers a year, which will increase by 30 to 50% by the year 2050. With this, there is indeed a correlation between groundwater usage and the availability of groundwater. This is evident in the sense that groundwater is being overexploited, leaving no more supply for other groups of people to maintain their sanitation using it.
Thank you so much to those who shared their knowledge. Earlier, we discussed about the role that water districts and authorities play in the problem, which is to provide the water consumers with more access to potable water. However, talking about consumption, there must be a role that consumers, whether adults, minors, and businesses take on in terms of water depletion, because water will not deplete if there is an efficient and sustainable use of groundwater. So, our fellow guests, last May 3 of 2024, H2O Talk conducted a survey about the type of water that we use in our daily tasks. So, we asked students of our school, Ateneo de Davao University, to give us a glimpse about the type of water that we use. Do we mostly use potable tap water, recycled water, or rainwater? Let us find out. For the first task, we have watering the plants. 13 people from the sample say that they use rainwater, while 5 people say that they use tap water. So for watering plants, we have a difference of 8 in the responses. For the second task, we have washing the car. 17 people say that they use water from a hose. This may be done through a tap, while 3 people say that they use rainwater. This item is interesting because one of our viewers, Gabriel Shano of 10 Berkmans, shared his own experience, saying that he covers the car with car wash soap and wait for the rain in order for the bubbles to be washed away naturally. Thank you for this, Mr. Gabriel. This is an interesting way of doing it. For the third task, we have laundry. 6 people say that they use potable tap water from the tap or water dispersed by the washing machine, while 3 people say that they use rainwater. However, 5 people also say that they do not do laundry at all. For the fourth task, we have household chores. Do you use potable water to mop the floor, windows, and more? 7 people say that they use water from the tap, specifically the bathroom tap. 6 people say that they use recycled water. Now, these are an interesting set of responses. Thank you so much for our respondents. Now, judging from the survey results itself, it seems that among the sample size of the survey respondents, it is proven that we heavily rely on potable groundwater. As an advocate, when we think about these chores such as watering the plants, washing the car, laundry, and many more, no digesting or drinking of water is involved. Hence, it makes us wonder, why does the water to be used have to be potable from the tap? Ms. Colleen, the group's researcher for the solutions of the problem, let us hear from you again.
From the results, I can tell that some people are not yet aware about other sustainable forms of water that can be used. Rainwater harvesting is a simple yet effective way to harness nature's bounty. Thus, by installing barrels or larger cisterns, homeowners can capture rainwater runoff from their roofs. This collected water can then be used for a variety of purposes such as watering gardens, lawns, indoor plants, filling decorative ponds, and even washing cars or outdoor surfaces. In regions where rainfall is abundant, rainwater harvesting can significantly reduce the demand for municipal water supply during the dry season, easing pressure on groundwater reserves and municipal water treatment facilities.
Thank you for this again, Ms. Colleen. In addition to rainwater, I have seen posts online about gray water or leftover water. Can they still be used for other purposes?
Gray water reuse, on the other hand, involves recycling wastewater from household activities like bathing, laundry, and dishwashing. So, while gray water may contain some traces of contaminants, it can be effectively treated using simple filtration and disinfection methods. For instance, gray water can be diverted to specially designed filtration systems or plant-based biofilters that remove impurities and odors before the water is reused for non-potable purposes. In some cases, treated gray water can be used for flushing toilets or replenishing ornamental ponds and landscaping irrigation systems. These practices not only conserve precious potable groundwater resources, but also contribute to water conservation efforts and promote sustainability. It's crucial for us to raise awareness and implement policies that support the adoption of these sustainable water practices on a broader scale to ensure a more resilient and water-secure future.
Thank you for this. The methods you mentioned really resonated with me because my parents grew up in a farm in the province of Matanao. As mentioned earlier, in rural areas, the water sources are outdated. Hence, the only water source there were natural springs and water wells. Given this, whenever it rained, my parents would get a huge drum and fill it up with rainwater so that it can be used for irrigation later on during the day. It was a simple yet effective way to make the most out of nature's bounty, ensuring that every drop of rainwater served a purpose. And do you know what? It wasn't about practicality, it was about respect for land and nature, a recognition of the interconnectedness between us and our environment. So, when I hear about rainwater harvesting and grey water reuse, it's like a nod to the traditions and values that shaped my upbringing, reminding me that sometimes the simplest solutions are indeed the most powerful. Talking about sustainability, using other forms of water is just one way of using groundwater efficiently. In fact, problems in line with SDG 6 range not just from water scarcity but also water quality and many more. One of our guests sent videos to the program with courtesy to the sources, proving the improper management of potable groundwater here in Davao City. Let us watch them all together.
Water due to exposed pipe.
Boy kami sa Davao murag hugas bigas. Pero
Those are the videos. The videos show us the detrimental effect of improper management of water. Usually, we do not see the microbes or the bacteria in the water that we drink. But in one of the videos shown above, the water coming out of the tap was in a dark and brownish color, which is really not suitable for drinking. Thus, we can understand the frustration of the citizens or the water consumers who filmed the videos. But as citizens aiming for positive change, we should take these videos as an opportunity to educate ourselves more about how much water is indeed being wasted. Think about it. The water seen in the videos came from the tap, which means that it went through filtering method and the pipes of the water districts. Yet, despite consuming a huge amount of energy, the water is still impotable. However, we shouldn't be downhearted by the situation because even if we are only students, there are several ways that we can help out. Without further ado, let me call on the group's researcher on the initiatives of the DENR and DCWD about practical and sustainable ways of conserving water supply and quality.
Thank you, Elise. As we've seen, the mismanagement of water resources can have severe consequences on both health and livelihood. However, there are practical steps that we can all take to conserve water and mitigate these effects. One crucial aspect is fixing leaky pipes and faucets, as even small leaks can waste significant amounts of water over time. Additionally, adopting water-efficient appliances and fixtures, such as low-flow toilets and shower heads, can drastically reduce water consumption without sacrificing functionality. Another important practice is to be mindful of our daily habits, like turning off the tap while brushing our teeth or shaving, and only running the dishwasher or washing machine with full loads. By implementing these simple yet effective measures, we can all contribute to preserving our precious water resources for future generations.
Thank you so much for the insightful tips on water conservation. I'm curious though, how effective are these measures in addressing the broader issues of water scarcity and contamination, particularly in regions where access to clean water is already limited?
At least while these individual actions may seem small in the grand scheme of things, they can actually make a significant difference when practiced collectively. Fixing leaky pipes and adopting water-efficient appliances not only reduce water waste but also contribute to overall water availability by conserving resources. Additionally, by promoting a culture of water conservation and sustainability, we can raise awareness and inspire broader societal changes that address the root causes of water scarcity and contamination. However, it's important for us to recognize that these measures must be complemented by broader policy initiatives and infrastructure improvements to ensure equitable access to clean water for all communities.
In summary, our discussion today has shed light on the pressing issue of water scarcity and contamination, both locally and globally. From the challenges faced in Davao City to the broader implications for Mindanao and the Philippines, it's evident that access to clean and sustainable water sources is not only a fundamental human right, but also a critical component of achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 6. We've explored various phases of the problem, from outdated infrastructure to unsustainable consumption patterns, and we've also highlighted potential solutions such as rainwater harvesting and greywater reuse. As stewards of our planet's resources, it's incumbent upon us to take responsibility and work towards a future where water is not just a privilege, but a universal human right. Join us in advocating for sustainable water management and practices, and together, let's ensure a water-secure future for generations to come. Thank you for tuning in to H2O Talk, and until next time, let's keep the conversation flowing.